Hello, Mikayla. All right, this is gorgeous work. Really nice job. I think this has just turned out beautifully. Let me just reduce this a little bit so we can get it in the window here. Really nice work. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I want to reduce that a little more because we're missing some. All right, there we go. Now we can see it. All right, so really nice work. Um, Okay, let's start with the front. A good job adjusting your kerning. Right now, I still think with the curve, that weird shape of that Y, that cap Y, I think you can close down that kerning even more. I know it's an optical illusion, but I just think this negative space right here just is really wide, more so than any other area in her name. For that reason, there I would close that kerning down a little bit right there. The rest of the kerning looks pretty good. That can be closed down a little bit, and then the distance between the kerning between the Z and the A, and then the A and the I, those can definitely be reduced. Um, First name looks fantastic. The girl who fights for education, very nice. Good job taking the red out of her, right out of her. Actually, a great job with your entire color scheme, taking colors right out of the outfit to use for the type. That was very smart. Good job. Very effective technique there. Good continuation here, framing her image with the color for the circles for the paper holes. And I also thought it was a really good idea to frame that in an oval instead of a square, just to kind of follow along with the soft lines associated with the paper line. So that I thought that was a good choice. Right now, the front of the poster, my only issue with the front of the poster is proximity. And the reason I say that is was right now, uh, theoretically, now I'm going to exaggerate here, but theoretically, it looks like one second. It looks like sorry about that. Okay, it looks like they're almost not related because they're so far from each other in the composition. Now, this is almost centered, so I think the best option here would be to take this. Oh, by the way, I would also reduce that leading there between Malala and the last name. uh, just a little bit. Let's reduce that leading and then take that whole name and move it down so it's a little bit closer proximity here to the subhead. Also, the subhead, it's weird because you're aligning, right now you're aligning a sans serif with a serif, and that's always going to present a little bit of an issue because the serif protrudes a little further. So if you're going to align right there at the uh, the vertical branch of the lowercase I, and you're also going to align that with the lowercase n, you still have that little serif that's protruding a little bit. So as you can see, the optical illusion makes it seem like this is not in alignment. What I usually do to counter that is just create one of those optical relationships we studied, and I would just take this whole thing and just nudge it over to the right a little bit. Technically, if you run a guide, it's going to pull it out of the alignment of the vertical branch of the I, lowercase I. However, it's going to alleviate that illusion that that's not in alignment. Okay, that takes care of the front of the poster, right? Back of the poster is this was a good idea. I think this really is so clean. It creates a nice shape, so it's a counter form to kind of complement and also to contrast the circles because you've got two big squares here and then you've got circles over here and oval here. So it's an interesting configuration. I think it's done very well. The justified type, there's some issues. Let me show you. And this is not anything that, well, you can do some fine tuning here. And I did in grading, if you take a look, I did leave some settings in there for you to try so to redistribute some of the space associated with this justified type. And what I'm talking about basically is if you take a look at this line right here, look how close, how tightly the letters are packed. They're just packed really right on top of each other, right next to each other. I mean, they're almost touching. Then you come down here to a line like this one right here, and look at how these are just, there's so much spacing between the letters here and almost none between the word, I'm sorry, so much spacing between the words down here and almost none here and other areas here. So try those settings, justified type settings that I gave you, and that should effectively redistribute the visual weight associated with the justified paragraphs. Okay, looking good. Really nice work. Okay, let's take a look at the timeline. I think the timeline is done beautifully as well. I don't see any widows here, so that's fantastic. Good job with your. I think the italic works just fine. I don't think there's too much type here at all for the italic. One thing I did want to mention about the justified type, technically, that period right there, that comma right there, those should be hung, that period. Any punctuation on justified type right margin should be hung within the margin. Let's see that period right there. So you definitely want to go and hang those. I mean, that will really show your portfolio reviewer and potentially the professional hiring person who's looking at your portfolio that you are paying attention to the minutia of fine typography. So, nice job with your old styles. Wow, you're paying attention. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, Mikayla, you are definitely paying attention. This is good stuff here. All right. Great kerning on your biography. I think, if anything, the I can move a little closer to the B, and the I and O, that space right there, can be reduced a little bit. Other than that, you're looking great. Fantastic job. Those are my recommendations. But like I said, just really good job. You've been working very hard, and it definitely shows here. This is quite a nice piece. So one final recommendation here. If you take a look at the left margin of the page, you got a pretty good distance right here. But the right margin, you're right on that. That type is right on that margin. I mean, there's no safe zone there at all. So I would recommend that you take this whole composition here and just pull it to the left a little bit to increase that right margin. Not talking much at all. Matter of fact, that margin doesn't even have to equal that margin, but just get a little bit more room in there and you are good to go. All right, fantastic. Any questions at all, please let me know. Definitely looking forward to seeing your final. Great job. Thank you very much.